Okay, hello, I'm going to show you guys a new tutorial with Onshape. Today we're going to do patterns. So we're going to learn how to do a circular and a linear pattern with 2D and 3D objects. So we're going to create a new document to start. I like to have you guys create a new document for every one of these tests just because then we start with a blank slate each time, essentially. Not that you can't do it in other times, but it's just easy to have a blank slate each time. So we call this one pattern test. Okay, so now we're going to make a sketch on the top plane. And what we're going to do here is we're going to make something that's kind of going to look like a bridge. I want you guys to start thinking about the bridges that you're going to be making next term. So we're going to make kind of a bridge shape. I'm going to use my center point rectangle and draw that out from the origin point here. And let's make it quite long, 280 millimeters long and just 20 mil thick. Okay, so we've got our rectangle. That's going to work as our horizontal beam. And if we want to get some vertical beams here, we're going to put some vertical beams across here, 5 mil thick, and let's make them 80 mil tall. Okay, now if that's a vertical beam, I can imagine if you were making a bridge, you would want lots of vertical beams and you would want them evenly spaced across your horizontal beam, correct? So what we're going to do instead of, now you could draw all these out one at a time, evenly space them, and you could do it and it would work, but it would take quite a long time. So what I'm going to do instead, we're going to go over to this tool here, which is our linear pattern tool, and we're going to select the things that we want to make a linear pattern. In this case, that's these 3 lines. We're just selecting the lines for now. So just select those 3 lines there, and you'll notice there's some other information come up when you have selected this. First of all, it's giving me 3. Down here, this little box here is telling me how many times I want to repeat this pattern. So 3 times here. I'm going to go ahead and change that to maybe make it 7 times. Okay, and over here is the distance from this point to this point. Essentially, it's spacing out how big is each pattern. So we're going to go here and we're going to change that. I'm going to change it to maybe 50 mil. Okay, and you can see one of my pieces goes out past my horizontal beam here, but that's okay. I can change my horizontal beam size in a minute. Now you'll notice there is one more measurement here where you can actually do a pattern in the horizontal direction and the vertical direction at the same time. So you can go ahead and change that if you wanted to, so that you have another row above the first row. So we can do a pattern horizontally and a pattern vertically, and this obviously is moving up too. But we're not going to need to do that for this one, so I'm going to change that back to a 1. Okay, and then once you're happy with it, just click off the screen like I just did then, and you'll notice it makes all those shapes appear nicely. Now, if you wanted to change and say you wanted to go, actually 7 is too many, let's change this back to 6. And you can go ahead and change those sizes anytime you like with these measurements here, the distance between each one and how many times you do the pattern. Okay, so obviously here, if I do it 6 times, it's going to be a bit too, my horizontal beam is a bit too long, so I can just go in and change my horizontal beam size. It's not quite long enough there. Let's do 255. There we go. And she's lined up right on the edge there. Okay, so now I'm happy with that. I can go tick, and I can extrude that into the 3rd dimension, just like we have done many other times with other things. Okay, we have a 3D tool. We have a 3D shape. Okay, so let's say you wanted to do the same thing now with a linear pattern. We can actually do the same thing with a 3D object using this same tool. Linear pattern again, but notice we're in the 3D tools here. And we can click on the object that we want to make a 3D pattern. And again, over here in the pad, in the little window, when you see a red box, it's because it needs some more information. So we click on that red box and we tell it which direction we want to do. Now, I like to tell it which direction we want to do by just clicking one of the lines in which we want it to follow. So let's say we wanted to move up, then we click on a line that's going straight up, and you can see there it's added a second one in. It's sort of see-through at the moment, and it's kind of overlapping. That's because the distance is a bit different. We're going to change that distance to 100. Not quite big enough. I'm going to make it 120. There we go. So now you can make multiple of that same one. Okay. Now, as it is, I don't really want to make multiple of that one. I'm quite happy with just one, so I'm going to exit that one. Okay. So that's how to do a linear pattern. I'll show you now how we might do a circular pattern. Okay. So let's go back into a sketch. Let's do a new sketch now. I'm going to do it on the top plane, but let's do it next to this one here. Okay. So on a linear pattern, this one you might use for creating, say, gears. We're going to use a circle here. I'm going to draw out a circle. I'm going to make this circle 50 mil. Okay. And instead of making, let's say we wanted to draw a tooth on the top of this circle. I'm going to make sure it goes to the very top from the center there. I'm going to use the center point going out vertically. I'm going to draw a 1 point there, 1 point there, and 1 point right on the edge like so. That's 1.8. I'm going to change that so it's exactly 1.8 millimeters diameter. Very radius. It's a radius we're looking at there for an arc. And with this arc, let's say I wanted this arc to go all the way around the circle. I would go up to my circular pattern tool this time, not my linear pattern one, and I would click on the thing I want to make go around and around. And instead of having it go around and around the center point, I'm going to move that point to the center of my circle. Okay? And you'll notice that it is moving 3 times around the circle. There's 1, 2, 3 of these arcs. If I want to change that again, I don't want just 3 teeth. Let's say I want 20 teeth. Okay, now we can start to see how they would fit all the way around. So I'm going to have 20 teeth, and the other measurement that we should see is how far each tooth is apart. But no, it's not actually doing that. It's actually just saying, okay, 20 teeth, and we're going from the start to the very end. So we're starting here, we're going all the way around to the very end. Now, you can actually change that if you like. Okay, so you can go all the way around, or you can come, say, halfway around, something like that. So if I went halfway around, like so, then I would just click off the image, and it will finally finish doing that pattern all the way around. Now, if you ever wanted to change that, you just need to go back in and change, instead of 20 teeth, we wanted to have 15 teeth. Change that, and if you wanted to go all the way around, instead of 270 degrees, we want 360 degrees. Then it'll go all the way around. Oh, sorry. No, 360 degrees, not going to like. If we did something slightly different, like 340 degrees. I see what it's doing. It's doing it from the other direction. So let's try 180 degrees. Okay, that's going halfway around. What if we did 0 degrees? No, it's not going to like that either. What if we did 10 degrees? Okay, so now we're starting to look at something that's a bit better. 10 degrees of difference. Maybe you want 20 degrees. Once you've got something you like. So I'm pretty happy with that. They're spaced pretty evenly. Maybe 22.5 degrees. Maybe you've worked out exactly what your gear needs to be, and it needs to be 22.5 degrees apart. That's fine. So now we've got that. And just like in the other example with the linear tool, we can do this same thing with the 3D tool. So let's finish that sketch. Let's extrude this out so we get the 3D object. Just selecting all of my parts here. Okay, tick. I've got my part now. She looks like a little gear. And let's say I want to do a circular pattern again. So I want to go into circular pattern again with the 3D set of tools. I want to go into my circular pattern. I'm going to click the thing I want to repeat, and then the axis of pattern. Let's make the axis of pattern around this edge. Okay, so I could do it around there. Actually, let's not do it around that edge. Let's do it around something else. So it's moved around. Oh, it's moved around in this direction. One up there, one down there, one down there, and one down the bottom as well. Let's say I didn't like that one. So I don't really. Let's do this axis. Okay. So you just need something on the screen that shows the up and down axis, the left and right axis, the north to south axis essentially. So right now, if I look at that, we got 4 times across that axis, and that's going to be whichever point that I click is the center point. So that's the center there. In order to do this, you might need to actually make an axis if you want it in a specific spot, but doing it across this axis as well is quite useful sometimes. When you've already made just one tooth and you want to space them out, that might work as well. Okay, I'm not actually going to need to do that because I only just want the one tooth. So that is how to use patterns in the 2D sketching, the 2D patterns, and also the 3D patterns. So have a go remaking some of those patterns now. Even have a go making one side of your bridge. You can see this might be the side of my bridge, and I might need to go back into the sketch now, and I might need to actually add some triangle shaped beams. Okay, like so. I wanted some triangle shaped beams, and then I wanted to have a linear pattern on those moving the same direction. Okay, you can actually drag these out as well, and I want to repeat it 6 times. Okay. There we go. And then I click off the image when I'm happy, and now you can see we've got some of those horizontal beams as well. Okay, that's pretty much all we need to do today. All right, thanks for watching.